Okay, class, I just want to go over paraphrasing quick in my own words. There's a YouTube video also in D12 discussions that I'm going to have you watch that you'll look at too. But just real quick, a paraphrase up here is just your own rendition of information, ideas expressed by someone else. So for this paper, you're going to be reading other sources, and sometimes you will quote and sometimes you will paraphrase. So when you paraphrase, you're not using quotation marks and you're not borrowing word for word directly from the source. You're just going to read a page or two and then paraphrase that information and put some of that information into your paper. So it's another legitimate way to borrow from a source. So you paraphrase because you don't want to quote all the time. You want to be able to mix and match between quoting and paraphrasing and stuff like that. So the mental process required for successful paraphrasing helps you grasp the full meaning of the original text and what you're understanding. So this part here is in D12 content. You can take a look at this page again as well. So with paraphrasing, you'll get a better idea of what it is in the YouTube video, but a couple examples of what I want it to look, what it'll look like in your paper and stuff like that. So if this is your paper here, you have a paragraph, and obviously this paper here is not about a literature subject, but it gives you an example. So here are two examples of paraphrasing. So expert testimony, public opinion, even cartoons suggest that while phoning is dangerous. Okay, so that's the author's original words here. And after that, Francis Bence, and then the rest of this part is all paraphrase. So when you paraphrase, whether it's a sentence or a couple sentences, whenever you're done with the paraphrase, you have to do an in-text citation, which is usually the author's last name and then the page number it came from that source. So if it's from a website and there's really no pages, and you just put page number 1. But there should be an author, so it should be Leighton 9. And what does that mean? What does this in-text citation mean? Well, that refers you back to the work cited. So if you go all the way to the end, you'll see Leighton down here, Leighton Lindsay, and that'll direct us to the works cited page. So that's why you do a works in-text citation, because it refers you back to the works cited page. So okay, so if we take a look at that here, there's one example of a paraphrase, and then the next one, in a survey published by Farmers Group, and then the rest of this is a paraphrase, and then here's another in-text citation. So when I say in-text citation, I mean Leighton C9 or C figure 1, or you put some type of information in parentheses to let us know that you're done paraphrasing that source. Okay, so when you do a paraphrase, you should introduce it by telling us where you're getting the information from. So Francis Bence, we know this comes from Francis Bence, and then the rest of it is this paraphrase. And then this paraphrase, in a survey published by a Farmers Group, that introduces this paraphrase. So just like you had to introduce the quotes for the quotes that you used for the last paper and the quotes that you use for this paper, you have to, generally you introduce paraphrases as well. So you want to make sure you do that. So you want to look at this paper example is also in D12 content. So make sure you take a look at that, because you want to make sure you generally introduce the paraphrase. You don't have to all the time, but if you're in doubt, always introduce the paraphrase, and then you give the paraphrase, and then you make sure you put the in-text citation at the end of it. Alright, so again here, the Farmers Group, in a survey published by Farmers Group, tells us where it's coming from. Then you get the information, the paraphrase, and then you get the citation that comes afterwards. So same thing with a quote. You're going to introduce the quote, give the quote, and then give an in-text citation. So in the essay assignment that I sheet that I give out to you in D12 content, it says you have to use 8 in-text citations. So that's what these things are right here. These are in-text citations. So anytime you see something in the little parentheses after information is given is what we call an in-text citation. So again, a couple other points here about paraphrasing. You'll probably use some of the author's original words, but if you use more than 5 consecutive words in a row from the author, you are no longer paraphrasing, and that's called plagiarism. So you don't want to use more than 5 words in a row. You must not change the original idea of the source being paraphrased, and you cannot add your own opinions into a paraphrase. All right, and that's paramount. You don't want to mix your opinion right in the middle of a paraphrase. You want to make sure that they're kept separate. If you look back at this part here, you notice the person here starts off with their own opinion. Expert testimony while driving and with phoning is dangerous. That's that person's opinion, and then they give you the paraphrase, and then they give you another paraphrase as well. Alright, so that's basically paraphrasing, and I'll stop right there for the moment.